Welcome to Author Talk. I am your host, Jim Dorman, and today we're very excited to welcome our guest, author Carla E. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
It's great to have you, as I said. But let me tell the audience a little bit about you. Carla E. lives in Braintree with her husband, children, and cats. She teaches middle schoolers, procrastinates via video games and anime, and occasionally buckles down and writes like that. Her writing has appeared in the Kenyon Review Online, Cosmorama, Eucalyptus Lit, and others. Her debut collection, Monsters and Other Tales of Humanity, was published by Meerkat Press in July of 2025, and you can visit her at carlae-.com or follow Carla at Carla E-, couple of dots in there, on Instagram. But we have her right here, so we're going to talk to her right here. So congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Coming up on a year, not quite.
Yeah, getting there. Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about, like, how'd you come up with the idea for the book and what readers might expect if they read it?
Sure. I have been writing short stories for a very, very long time. I mean, technically, if you want to go back to like elementary school. And around when my oldest child was born and I was at home with her, and I started sort of thinking I could actually maybe get some of them published. So some of these stories sort of around then started being published sort of individually here and there. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, I think I have enough stories that I know people liked and connected with, that I could collect them into a sort of anthology, sort of. And what you can expect, I don't know. It's been characterized as a lot of different genres. I mean, I think it gets categorized as horror, but I don't know that I would consider the stories horror. I mean, maybe sort of like fantasy. I like the umbrella term of speculative because there's some like sci-fi, there's maybe some horror, some fantasy. It's all that kind of stuff.
Speculative. What would, for the uninformed, how would you describe speculative?
I mean, I think it's just an umbrella term that kind of covers all of that. Like, it's not realistic fiction.
Right.
Yeah, so sci-fi, fantasy, horror stuff.
Okay. How many stories are there?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Could I look at? No. Can I look into that?
I think it's 10.
That sounds about right.
That's about 10. And I heard some descriptions of weird fiction. Did that not come from you?
I don't know.
Or do you not like the abstract fiction?
I mean, I honestly don't know. Weird fiction is a weird label for me.
Yeah,
it's like, I kind of get it. Like, it's stuff that's hard to classify.
Right.
But when I think of weird fiction, I think of kind of like Jeff Vandermeer, kind of, and I feel like my stories are more comprehensible than that, whereas I feel like weird fiction is much more mysterious than I think most of my stories are.
Okay, so but it is somewhat mysterious.
Okay.
Why would if they again, people that haven't read your book or something? So if they start reading some of these stories, what might be mysterious about it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. So some stories we've got a story that's like, a woman sort of grieving and like death moves in as her roommate, kind of waiting for her to die. Right. And then there's a story about someone who's trapped inside of a video game. We've got sort of like sea monsters, a little cosmic horror, like universe ending kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, there's a wide variety of things going on, but I don't know, for weird, like to me, like the stories, when you read them, you can understand pretty clearly what happened. I mean, though I do have a very bad tendency of ending a story before some people might want it to be over. My husband tells me. Okay. But I do think like it's understandable what happened, whereas like when I read weird fiction, the vibe to me is a little more like, I don't know what happened. Yeah. But maybe that's just me. It's just sort of like I enjoy, like I really love Jeff Vandermeer's writing, but I also am like, I'm not quite certain what is going on here.
Yeah. I think that's probably might sum it up. Where you might have to, and they're not long, not too long stories. About how long are they?
I feel like a lot of them are around maybe like 20 pages, but some of them are quite a bit shorter. So there's some that are sort of like a couple thousand words, and some that are more like 7,000 words. So between a few pages and like up to 20 pages. Except the novella, the last story is more of like a novelette, is a little longer.
Yeah, the last one, which is that the
That's the video game character
Yeah.
that is sort of trapped. Yeah.
and you play video games. Was it
Yes.
inspired by
Yes.
actually playing
Yes.
video games?
Yeah, so the idea of that story is there's a character who's in a video game and sort of like realizes they're a character in a video game and is sort of disturbed by not being able to control their own actions. You know, like there's a player outside the game that's making choices for them. And that was, yes, I play video games, and that's very much inspired by the video game Mass Effect. I don't know if you play games at all. Okay, so Mass Effect is you're a space commander, and there's like creatures coming from deep space to like destroy the galaxy. But it's a game where you make choices, right? So it's like you have a conversation and you can say like you're going to respond this way or that way, and those choices like affect the game, like what happens in the game. And we were playing this, and there's one moment where you're trying to sort of talk down this character that's really angry with you, that you've sort of like, they feel that you've betrayed them. And it was actually my husband that was playing. This would never happen to me when I was playing.
Oh.
But like he had to actually kill that character because like they had like sort of guns out at each other, and it was like he didn't have like enough points in persuasion or whatever like to talk down the character. So and it was like really traumatic to me. Like, no, that character's so great. Like now you've like lost that character in your game, and it was just like upsetting that like there was nothing he could do to get out of the situation. So that is kind of what inspired that story of like, I don't know, being boxed in by the game and not being able to like do what you not being able to get the outcome that you want to get. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I enjoyed the idea of the falling into the chasm and not getting hurt. You know, and
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
it would be normally a death experience.
Right. Yeah. The like sort of you just return to your previous save point and try again. Yeah.
And I also, not that I have much experience with video games, but I guess I like the feeling of it didn't work the first time, but what are we going to do different?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
which I think is something that does happen in video games. How are you going to get past this?
Yep. Many times
Past
I've
this
been.
thing. So that kind of drew me in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another story. I think was one of the earlier ones, and I'm not sure. I think it's somewhere far from here. About the girl. It sounds like she's like in high school, and so anyway, maybe tell me a little bit about some of the inspiration for that. Is that a story that you've had for a long time?
Gosh, when did I write that? I think that was something that I wrote when I was taking. I was sort of like working toward a master's in creative writing through the Harvard Extension School at one point. So I was in that program and doing a lot of creative writing classes, which I very foolishly never actually completed that degree, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I like got all the way to the end, and then I had to write a thesis, and I was like, But what inspired that is, to me, it's sort of a little bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So there's a girl who's like got some trouble in her home life, and she gets off her school bus one day and is just sort of walking through this neighborhood, and she sees it's wintertime, it's snow everywhere, and she sees like this greenhouse that's got these beautiful roses in it, and so she keeps sort of like returning to this stranger's house just to sort of like look at the roses and sort of fantasize about the person who lives in the house. I really love fairy tales, and like I always have. There's a couple in here that I consider sort of like fairy tale or myth sort of retellings. I love to sort of like play in that sandbox that other people have also played in, and it's just sort of like these stories that we all just keep returning to and telling slightly differently. So that's definitely inspired from that. I really love Angela Carter, for instance, is a person who's got a lot of retellings of like Bluebeard and other things like that. So I just like to do that.
Yeah.
It's sort of fun to have something like a little framework already there, and then you can like, you know, do what you want with it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's inspired by Beauty and the Beast, I guess.
Ah, well, that's cool to
Yeah.
know that. It just kind of drew me in a bit. You know, I like I don't know, something about with the flowers and the optimism, I guess, or with the neighbor, I think. Like, just kind of seemed something like she created, you know, something in her own, you know, world there, but then there's abuse going on at home.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I thought that was well crafted and drew me in, and you know, like I said, the stories aren't that long. You can. I think the first time I wasn't sure it would, and that's what to me is what I. It's not something that I would normally that I normally read.
Short stories.
It's just when I'm usually trying to figure out like, okay, where are we?
Yeah.
who is what point of view, and some of those things aren't really there and right away. Like you might not know the time period or but then you kind of piece things together and start to maybe think about way something makes you feel or something like that. So so I went back and read that one again, and that kind of thing. And I parts of it were, I said, wait a second, who's the neighbor? And then let's read that again. And so anyway, so that one was kind of.
That's a high compliment for a writer. You read the story again. So it stuck with you.
Good. Yeah, I so I kind of enjoyed doing that, but it was definitely at first I was like, wait a second, I don't know,
Yeah, I'm kind of like I haven't written a novel. I mean, I've got one in the works that I've had forever, but like most writers probably. But I have a hard time getting my head around like longer pieces. Like I'm one of those sort of very, there's like the pantsers or the planners. Do you know that? Like the people who plan everything out first, or the people who are just sort of like, you sit down and write and whatever happens, happens. And like, I definitely used to be very much a planner. Like it's hard for me to sort of be like, I'm just going to write whatever and I'll fix it later. Like I'm very sort of meticulous about the language the first time through. And like, it's a little hard for me to like, I don't know. Like a novel is a very daunting idea to me. It's like, well, how am I going to remember that like imagery that I was using in the beginning that I want to carry through all the way to the end? It's much easier in a short story to kind of like carry through a theme or like an imagery or a vibe, like a feeling. Whereas like in a novel, it just feels too big to me. But maybe one day.
Yeah, I think that is daunting.
Yeah,
definitely. But you'll probably, if you want to do it, you'll get there. Another one that grabbed me a bit, I think it was maybe a little more conventional, but a pretty flower for a pretty lady. So that one, there was, I don't know, maybe found some kind of connection, I think, in what she was up to.
Sure. Yeah, that one's I would say probably more conventional. Like there's no obviously fantastical things going on in that story necessarily. To me, that story is more about like the feeling of it. Like to me, there's sort of a menacing quality to the main character as she sort of like goes through her day and gets ready for this date, and there's sort of like an undercurrent of horror maybe, but but there's nothing overtly fantastical or horrific about what happens in the story. And for me, that's very much just sort of like a feeling story. Like it makes me feel disturbed. But like, yes, it's more what actually happens in the story is more typical of a regular literary short
perhaps
story.
It was a little easier to follow,
Yeah.
I think. I probably read that one twice too.
Yeah. It's a short one. Yeah.
So when did you start? Did you write when you were young? Did you do poetry?
I probably have some bad teenage poetry somewhere, but I never. I mean, I have written some poetry. I've had some like prose poetry published. I don't really consider myself a poet though. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I know enough about like different types of structures of poems or like pentameter or whatever the rhythm and the I just sort of like if I write poetry, it's prose poetry. But gosh, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I remember in like elementary school, we had those like yellow lined notebooks and our teacher made us write, I don't know how often, maybe like once a week we had to like dedicated time that was like story or just writing. And I remember like kids like commissioning me to like put them in my stories. And I was at that time already writing, all my stories were like zombies and witches and vampires. So it was already that kind of stuff that I liked. I mean, I loved horror when I was that age. Like I read all those like Goosebumps and R.L. Stine and later Stephen King and stuff like that. So I feel like it was kind of always there. Like I always was a big reader when I was a kid. And yeah, ever since at least as early as like late elementary school, I liked to write. I wrote in high school, but I've always kind of been, I'm getting better at this, but sort of a lazy writer. It's like you have to like follow through and finish things. And like for a long time, I was sort of the writer who's like, well, when the like inspiration strikes, then I'll write. I've gotten much better these days at like my time is really limited. I have a full-time job. I'm a teacher. I've got kids, and like I have to just make myself write like 15 minutes here, 30. Like you know, when the kids go to bed, when I have some time, like I'm getting better at like, you just have to do it, you know, and it's not just when the inspiration strikes. But so I didn't really have things, like I wasn't necessarily finishing and polishing things until I was an adult. And again, like I said, when my daughter was born, I got sort of more, a good chunk of sort of not free time, but more free time since I wasn't working for a bit, and was able to sort of like sit down and finish things and polish things and get them out into the world. But
Do you have a best time or best place to write?
I mean, my preferred time to write, like when I feel like awake and creative, is like the afternoon, which is weird because most people get like sleepy after lunch, I feel like, but like I feel good in like the early afternoon, but that's like basically impossible most of the time. I usually write like after the kids go to bed, or like my husband is often the person making dinner in our house. So like while he's making dinner and the kids are sort of like just got home from school and are playing, maybe there's like an hour in there. That's a good time to write. So I don't usually write at my preferred time to write. And preferred place, I don't know. I usually write at like the kitchen counter. I like to have like, I think I like to have, you know, sort of the coffee shop kind of vibe. Like I like to have some sort of like noise and stuff going on around that I can kind of tune out. But like silence is not good. Music isn't good for me. Like I know a lot of people listen to music but I'm like, listening to words distracts me from the words that I'm trying to write. Or like outside, you know, if it's a nice day, like on the porch or on the deck, with like, you know, just nature sounds or the neighborhood sounds. Yeah.
Do you handwrite or type?
Oh, I type. When
I was going to guess handwrite.
I mean, when I was younger, I mean, definitely like, you know, when I'm talking about that early elementary school, we were writing in the notebooks. And I think in high school, I was still doing a lot of writing by hand, but no, now I type.
Yeah. So just like a little laptop type thing?
Yeah.
Or whatever, and that works good?
Yeah.
You know, especially that's probably more productive, I guess.
I can't really imagine going back, like, I don't know, when you want to change something or like, it just sounds so difficult to have to like go back and, I don't know, erase or write notes or, I don't know. Yeah. I've gotten used to the computers now, I guess.
Well, it's good that you can do that with all the different things going on in your life and be able to be able to kind of sit at a table and maybe have some noise. But I agree on the music thing, and I love music. That's probably why I can't write with music on, because I can't.
It's distracting.
It's too distracting.
I start singing the song, like I can't. No. Other people can do it, I know, but I can't. People have like playlists, you know, that go with their novel or their stories, and I'm like, I just can't. I can't listen to music. Sometimes I try to find like instrumental music that seems to fit the vibe, but even that is like kind of distracting. So,
did you have any good mentors like before you went to college, or like high school teachers or anything like that?
I mean, I certainly have teachers that I really liked and admired. My 10th grade teacher stands out to me. I feel like that was the first time like it would not creative writing, but just like our analytical writing. I remember reading things like Macbeth and J.D. Salinger, and like my 10th grade teacher was really passionate about all of that in a way that I feel like, I mean, I'm sure most of my English teachers liked what they were doing. And, you know, that's why you become a teacher and in your subject. But she was very passionate about all of it. I remember she yelled at me once about being kind of too glib about J.D. Salinger. Like, I don't know, we were learning about what a like recluse he was, and I feel like I must have said something callous, and she yelled at me, and I felt very ashamed because I was a good student and I didn't get in trouble, and I felt bad for upsetting her. But also in that class, I feel like it was very freeing. Like, it was kind of like whatever we were discussing, like, and no idea was too crazy. You know, it's like anything that you want to argue about Macbeth, as long as you find some evidence in that text to support it, like, that's good. And I feel like it was a lot of fun in that class, and probably just the people that were in it as well, the other students, but like just sort of like, oh, like it's fine to just actually make up a crazy idea that I don't even believe in. And the teacher would be like, okay, sure, tell me about it. Like, where did you find your evidence? And I just remember having a lot of fun and finding it, I don't know, kind of freeing and like, I don't know, just writing and arguing and making up stuff, and it was like supported.
Oh, so you enjoyed expressing yourself?
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's usually what's one of the best things of English class, if you can do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's anti J.D. Salinger.
I actually really like J.D. Salinger's writing.
Hey, he can be criticized still, you know, I mean, some of the stuff, but
Yeah, I think there was some weird stuff in his personal life, but
Yes.
yeah. But
I mean, you know. Yeah.
as a sort of like introverted, person who, a lot of writers are, I think, I like to be hunched over my computer at my house in my pajamas. Like, I think I really connected with a lot of his writing, but I don't remember what I said. But apparently I said something that was offensive.
Did you connect with other students, or were you kind of more of an introvert?
Yeah, no, I definitely, like, I'm an English teacher now, and I think part of that is, like, I really enjoyed English class. Like, I liked being able to, like, talk to other students about what we were reading and what we thought about it, and, like, that was always, like, a really good space for me in school. And, yeah, I had friends in high school, I wasn't, like, a loner. It's just people want to, like, let's go out and go to a party or go here and there, and I'm like,
No, not that.
do I have to? Or, like, parties were just awful for me. Like, I feel like in college I went to a lot of parties because that's what you were supposed to do, and, like, just, like, couldn't wait to leave. This is not my vibe. But I'm not a loner. I just prefer quiet, small group, indoor activities.
I guess I was just wondering, as far as expressing yourself, did you feel comfortable doing it with other people and that kind of interaction, and maybe did you have more of it in college?
Yeah, I took a lot of creative writing classes. I really enjoyed those, like, sort of sharing writing and getting feedback on it and seeing what other people were doing. I think it's definitely, like, actually there were sort of, like, in the Harvard classes I was talking about, some of us would, like, go out to, like, get dinner or something after class a lot of times, and that was great. And it was sort of, kind of like pushing each other and inspiring each other, I guess. Like, yeah, I remember I don't know that I've ever done this actually, but we would be like, like, we're all going to work in, like, this rat into, like, all of our stories at some point, or, like, I don't know, just sort of like fun little challenges and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Do you know if any classmates, are they writers at all, or
I don't.
are you the first one to have a book?
Gosh, I don't know if any of my classmates have written books. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
But you did kind of collaborate on, helping each other kind of
Yeah.
advance whatever
Yeah.
you were doing at the time. And now it's middle school, right?
Yes.
It's you're teaching middle
Yeah.
schoolers.
Yes, I do.
Is there any hope? No. No. Any people interested? Are they interested in writing and reading and things like that?
Yes.
So hard these days with so many video games and things.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the phones are worse than anything. Like, I don't even think it's the video games. I think it's the sort of, so I've been talking about, we're reading Lord of the Flies right now in my class, and for the first time that this has ever happened, they all spoiled it for themselves. Like, they immediately went and looked up on the internet, like, everything that happens in the book. And I was like, that's the first time that's ever happened, and I feel it's like, I don't know, to go on sort of a older person rant, I guess. It's just like that, like, immediate, like, they can't delay gratification, right? It's like the TikTok just scrolling. It's like they need immediate. I don't know. It's my theory.
Right.
About, like, it's like, well, we're going to spend the next month reading this book no matter what. So, like, why did you ruin the experience for yourself by, anyway.
It'll get through to some.
Yeah, but I would definitely say yes. I always have a handful of students who like to read, who get the stuff that we're reading, who enjoy talking about it. I would not say, the majority of children just enjoy reading Lord of the Flies, but yes, there's hope.
Yeah, that's good.
I had a student a few years ago, actually, that had someone collected, like, people's first experiences with Taylor Swift, and had, like, her piece was, like, published in the book that they collected for that, which was really awesome. So yeah, I envision some of my students will go on to be creative types and be successful, which is cool.
Yeah, you can accomplish a lot with writing, or things maybe you didn't think you could. Get published different places.
Yeah.
Do they know about your book?
Yes, my students knew about my book before it was out.
Okay.
And I had students for always being like, "Can I buy your book? When can I buy your book? Is it out yet?" And but it's also weird because I teach middle school, right? So I'm like, it's not really a middle school book. And they're like, well, can I buy it? And I'm like, I can't stop you, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily advise it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I don't know that any of them have read it, but they ask about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least they know you wrote a book and you
Yes.
published a book.
Yeah.
And I think that's inspiring in itself. So
Hope so.
let's see. What was the most difficult part about writing this for you?
I mean, again, for a long time, it has been very difficult for me to like finish things.
Yeah.
It's like I have so many ideas, you know, and ideas are like a dime a dozen. I've got like, I mean, on my phone, my like notes app, I've just got like note after note after note of like, oh, things I don't want to forget. I jot down like, oh, I want to write that at some point. And it's like so easy to start a story. I feel like when the idea is like fresh and burning in your mind, you know, you're like, you know, writing quickly the first part, and then I'm like, and then I run out of steam, and I'm like, oh, I actually have to finish this. I have to figure out the middles. I feel like are usually the hardest part. Like I often have a beginning and some idea how I want it to end, and it's like then I gotta like push through the middle part. So just in general, like finishing things that I start is difficult. Maybe some of the stories, like the stories themselves, like not many, but some of them are actually like dreams or nightmares I've had. Again, I feel like a lot of my own personal horror is like parent related these days.
Yeah.
You know, there's a story in here that's sort of like a woman with an infant that is not healthy, right? And there's sort of like this fantastical creature that's sort of there to collect the infant. And that was somewhat based on a nightmare I had when my daughter was an infant. So some of them, maybe just the content is also difficult to write when it's like somewhat personal. I mean, it's not at all realistic, but
yeah, the child breathes.
Yeah, yes, that is the child breathes. Yes.
That one kind of hit me because I lost a brother to, you know, infant.
Yeah.
It just kind of, I was like, oh, what are we reading? It's okay. But, you know, it's a real thing.
Well, it sort of captures that, like, that new parent, just terror of, like, I mean, you know, that was my first child. I remember my husband and I, like, putting my daughter in her car seat and being like, they're actually letting us, like, take this child home. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And just, like, I don't know, you're running on, like, no sleep. And it's just constantly like, oh, I want the baby to sleep. And then also, like, when she's asleep, I'm afraid she's not going to wake up. And just that sort of fog of new parenthood.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sorry.
My brother was 5 weeks old, and that's when they woke up. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You know, it's real stuff. So I mean, that's kind of was a connection there, a little bit of a shock connection, but that's okay. But do you work with an editor at all?
Well, so a lot of these stories some of them were individually published in magazines. So like, there's often an editor involved in that, like when it gets published in the magazine, sort of a little bit of back and forth. And then like when it was, the whole collection was published by Meerkat Press. So then it was sort of edited again when it was going to be collected into a book. So yes, often I find the single stories, there's not a lot of editing. It's sort of just like maybe a couple back and forths because the short stories just aren't that long, I guess, not that much work to do in theory if I've done a good job. In order for the whole thing to get published, it was a lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of back and forth, but again, for me, who's used to like the short stories, it was just like so much to like read and reread and reread again. So I've read this book many, many, many times.
So none of the stories changed significantly after probably your first draft or second draft?
Yeah, there weren't any like sort of like major plot changes. Mostly like sort of like word level changes. Yeah, there was the one with the sort of like the friend who's got her like sort of like new boyfriend and the photography stuff going on. That one, there was. So I have a lot of the dialogues in italics instead of being in like dialogue tags, and the editor didn't like that, but I didn't want to change it. Because it's also the structure of that story is the characters writing this down in a journal, so I didn't want to put the dialogue in dialogue tags because it wasn't like they weren't actually talking, it was like a secondhand, like you're reading the person's journal, you know, so I wanted to look like it was something someone would write down. Yeah. Yeah.
There must be, I've talked to other authors about, what they went through, and it's because sometimes it's a lot, and I think that, I would think it would help with deadlines and might help you kind of, I know I like if I have a deadline, I'll just, everything else will get pushed out of the way. Yes. And so anyway, so it helps with the finishing. Yeah,
well, so with this, it's interesting because like this was like a completed, like, they were all done, right? And then I was sending it around to people to be like, hey, do you want to publish this? Oh. Which is different than when people are like, you need to get me the final draft, in 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
I gotcha.
I guess it's a little different than writing a novel or writing maybe like a second novel. I feel like often the first novel people do have it done and they shop it around. But then maybe the second one, they're like, okay, we need it. Yeah, no, deadlines help. Sometimes I try to give myself a like, I'm going to try to submit a story to this call for stories, you know, so that I have a deadline, because otherwise, yeah, sometimes it's, again, hard to finish things if you know there's nothing looming over you.
Yeah.
Like the one about the video game character, there was like a specific like call for something that was like thematically related, and I was like, okay, I got to finish this before that so I could submit it to that. But otherwise, yeah, it's definitely difficult to make yourself when you're like, well, or I could just not tonight. I'm tired. I don't want to. Yeah.
Just like the kids, they got to do their work, right?
Yeah.
Do you like the? I like the look and feel of it. You know, it's kind of in general. I don't know. It's just all books are a little bit different, and it's kind of nice the way it looks. And
I love the cover, which again, Meerkat Press is mostly like a one-person operation.
Oh, okay.
So my editor or the publisher was like, you know, send me some covers that you like, and I'll just like sort of, you know, make something, and you'll let me know how you feel about it. And honestly, like, it was sort of the first. There was this version. It was like this, but there were a couple different color combinations. But like the design itself, I love it, and I was happy with it right away. I love purple and green are my favorite colors, so I went with the purple and green. But,
yeah, that's.
I love it.
And then the just the way the each story is, and there's a little I don't know if it's a monster or a snake tail or something like that in different places to begin each story. I think.
Oh yes, yep.
That's pretty cool. So overall, that's good. Do you think you'd be doing this again?
Yes. That's sort of my goal right now.
Right.
I'm working on having like enough stories for a second collection. I think I'm close. I'm hoping to send it. I don't have an agent. Like, I just kind of like did this and sent it to independent publishers last time. So I'm hoping the next time maybe I will try to get an agent first and maybe get it to a bigger publisher. Maybe, you know, pie in the sky goal for me right now.
What kind of feedback have you gotten on this so far?
Well, I haven't sent anything around yet. I mean, some of the stories that would be in a next collection have been individually published places.
I'm sorry, I meant
on this book.
Like,
sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, all my real life people who've bought it tell me that they like it, but I feel like they have to say that. You know, my friends and family and things like that, and coworkers. But I don't really. There's, you know, there are some reviews online, but I honestly don't really look at them. Like Publishers Weekly reviewed it, which was really exciting for me as part of my blog tour in the beginning. But like, other than like sort of the official ones, like I don't know. I haven't, you know, I'm sure there's things on like Amazon or Goodreads, and I just don't really look at them.
I could see that. You have a very, you know, individual style.
Yeah.
And you know, so.
I mean, yeah. If people, you know, if it's not for them, that's fine.
Right.
But I also don't want to like see it.
You're being very expressive in your specific way, and I enjoyed reading it. So
great, I'm glad.
And it opened my eyes up a bit to some different types of fiction. I'm not someone that's read every author, and so it's kind of like, okay, this is a little different for me. I mentioned to other few people that do read a lot, and they're like, oh, it's like this or like that. And I'm like, yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
But anyway, so thank you so much for coming on the show. Really enjoyed talking to you and getting kind of a sense of who you are and where you were coming from with Monsters and Other Tales of Humanity.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.
It's been great.
And good luck with your future endeavors. Check the book out, folks. And thanks for tuning in. We want to thank our behind-the-scenes help here, Kevin Tachi, Matt Lyons, and crew at Abington Cam. Please tune in next time. We'll see you there.